It's The Cracked Eye with Ed and Fitzy. So Annabelle was released in cinemas this past weekend, telling the story of a doll possessed by a demon. Now, Annabelle, some might say, has managed to make the world talk about dolls again, but for one woman, dolls have always been her world. Marilyn Mansfield, welcome to The Cracked Eye.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Am I correct in saying, is it over 300 or 500 dolls that you have in your collection?
Well, everything considered a doll in my house, it's probably around 500. Yeah.
Wow, that's a large collection. And you've been into this since you were 2 years old. Am I correct in saying that, Marilyn?
Oh, yeah, that's the first, time I could remember having a doll. So I'm sure it might have been even before that, but that's, my recollection is around 2.
Can you remember the first ever doll? Like, what was it like? What did it look like?
I remember I had a Cookie Monster plush doll when I was a toddler.
Oh.
And I was very attached to. Yeah, I was very attached to. From what I was told, the Cookie Monster doll. So, I mean, I've always had dolls. Always, my whole life.
So we know that you collect them and you've got over 500 or around 500 in your collection. But do you sell these dolls as well?
Oh, yes. I started making them approximately 2 years ago. And I started doing the realistic reborn dolls. And I started doing the horror dolls, which are like zombies. I do vampires, little demons. And I've sold dolls all over the world, So, yeah, it's become a hobby, which has become a business.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, if anybody wants to see these dolls or indeed have a look at them and maybe wants to purchase them or whatever they might want to do, you can check it out on the website, marilynmansfield.com. Marilyn, so you have a natural, is it fair to say, obsession with dolls, I guess, but also it's a hobby, and you are now making a career out of these. You're making 2 variations of dolls, as you mentioned, the reborn babies, which is essentially, they're very much real-life looking babies. They look so real. And then we've got the contrast of that, which is the unborn creations. Now, these are, I'm going to say, scary as shit. They're freaky. They're scary.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was, I started out with the more realistic dolls, and I thought for Halloween, because I'm a fan of all types of dolls, and I have many horror dolls and gothic dolls and demonic dolls in my collection. So I figured for Halloween, let me do a horror line, and people love them so much that now I do more of the horror dolls more than the realistic dolls all year round. So there really is a big market for them, And yeah, I mean, some people think they're adorable. Some people think they're creepy. Some people are more creeped out by the realistic ones more than the scary ones. So,
Sorry, Marilyn, I've seen the pictures, as has Ed, and I know that there was interviews and articles about you in the Daily Mail over here as well back in September. And you have them all over your house. They're in every room of the house. Do you not get a little bit frightened sometimes? Because I know that when I'm at home, I might be watching a horror movie or even just the news, it doesn't matter, and I go into the kitchen to get a glass of water. And when I see the reflection or the moon coming in, I get a little bit freaked out sometimes. So if I had all of these horror, vampire, demon dolls looking at me, I would shit my pants.
No, I never get, I never get afraid. I never was afraid of dolls and things like that. And people who are, I mean, I feel for them, but I never had that fear. I always felt comforted by dolls and things like that. I mean, I started watching Chucky, Child's Play.
Yeah, I love that movie.
1988. Yeah, that was my favorite movie, and I was about 10 years old. And I mean, I love Chucky. I like wanted Chucky, to be my friend till the end.
Yeah.
I've always been a little bit, different than most people. So, and my kids here, I mean, they love the dolls. They're not scared of dolls at all. But some people are, and that's fine. And yes, they are all over the house. I mean, each one has its own place, and there are a lot of eyes looking at you, but, we're fine with it. They're mostly out as art pieces, but, some of them, my family considers, I mean, it sounds a little wacky, but they've been around for a while and they're kind of like part of the family.
There have been images that I have viewed online as well of yourself, pushing these babies in a pram or these dolls in a pram. Some people would be saying, whoa, that's way too far. They're just dolls. What are you doing? Like, do you get a lot of people on the street going, woman, you are crazy? Or do you embrace that? What is your response to the general public?
When we do take out a doll, it's something that I've been doing for a while now. And I'm not the only person who does it. A lot of people who collect reborn dolls take them out. I mean, they're weighted to feel like babies. They wear real baby clothes. So, if I have a lot of prams, and if I want to take one out, my family's very supportive. It's just something that I enjoy. I enjoyed when my kids were babies and pushing a stroller. And, the dolls never grow up. I mean, so they always fit in the stroller. And, it's also good for me. It's also good advertising. There's no better way of advertising my doll business rather than to take one out and have people see it. Nobody ever comes over to me and says I'm crazy to my face,
Yeah. They don't have the balls to do that.
Yeah, they don't. That's like internet trolls and things like that. But, the thing about it is, I understand I'm a 36-year-old woman pushing a doll in a carriage. It's not your normal daily activity. I get that. That's fine. I don't expect everyone to understand it. If everyone understood it and started doing it, I probably wouldn't be into it. I've always been someone who kind of does my own thing. I really don't care what people think. I mean, you have to expect people are going to think it's odd, a woman pushing a doll in a carriage. And that's fine. So,
and they're a lot quieter than a real-life baby as well, so you kind of get the best of both worlds.
It is definitely the best kind of baby. I mean, I have had clients that don't want children, and they have one of my dolls, and that's their baby, and they're fine with it. When they have the urge to cuddle a baby or dress a baby or shop for a baby, it's for the doll, and all the other times they don't need a sitter, they don't have to feed it. It's it's there when they want it. Other than real babies are. I mean, I'm very maternal.
Yeah,
I have 3 children. And I love babies, but it is a lot of demanding work, and it takes a lot of time, and it's not for everybody. So these dolls, I mean, for some people, it's their baby.
Well, exactly. And look, it is very respectful, I think, that you do this. You said you love it. And, you said, like, what is normal? Well, look, everyone's different. And I am a little bit of a fan of playing chess and playing drafts. And a lot of people slag me for that. Everyone has different likes and different interests. And I think that's what makes the world and people interesting. But you spoke about your own children as well. And we're going to take a little break here, Marilyn. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the fact that you've actually used one of your children's hair on one of the dolls. Isn't that correct?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Perfect. So look, we're going to take a little break. We're going to listen to a song, and then we'll come back to you and hear more on that, Marilyn. Thank you.
Okay.
So myself and Ed have never tried to keep quiet the fact that we are fans of horror movies and that we like things that are a little bit different and a bit unusual here on The Cracked Eye. And we are chatting about Life Like Dolls with Marilyn. So we were discussing the fact that you've used one of your children's hair before to make one of the dolls. So tell us a little bit about that, Marilyn.
Yes, I did. I used my son's hair. In a lot of reborn doll artists use human hair, and some of them have even used their own children's hair. It just they didn't make headlines like mine did. But I personally, we usually use mohair, which is goat hair, because it's fine and soft like baby's hair. And for this particular doll, I was creating for myself. Whenever I create them for myself, I tend to make them look like part of the family. So if we are out and about with them, the doll will kind of blend in. So my son has very long hair, and I trimmed his hair and I saved it. And I figured, what's the best, thing to use on a doll to look like more of us? I used my son's hair. It is a common practice, like I said, in the reborn world.
Yeah.
So it really isn't something that strange, but I guess to an average person, it sounds a little bit odd, but
Yeah.
it really isn't. I mean, and the doll now has my son's hair, so it has DNA.
Well, that's it. Marilyn, you mentioned there, odd and strange. Now, it doesn't take a lot to shock me. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty much an open book. I couldn't really give two fucks, what people get up to as long as they're not harming anybody. But this did make me stop and think, what is this about? And I'm going to mention 3 words to you, and you can tell me your response here. Ellie Stephanie Mansfield. Am I correct in saying this is a sex doll on a wheelchair?
She is a love doll. Yes, she's a real doll from the company Real Doll. I collect dolls of all sorts, and I had always wanted a real doll, just for the simple fact that they are very lifelike, and it is, the size of a real human being. And but however, they're very expensive. So I wasn't sure if I would ever have the opportunity to get one, and I actually got Ellie from a private collection, and at a very reasonable price, and I seized the opportunity to have this ultimate doll in my collection. She is not used for any kind of sexual thing whatsoever. She is basically part of my collection and part of the family.
Yeah.
The reason why she's in a wheelchair is 2 reasons. One, she's over 100 pounds. They are made from solid steel and silicone, so she really is the weight and size of a grown woman. So she's quite heavy. And number 2, one of my favorite movies is Lars and the Real Girl, so it's kind of a tribute to that.
And I would also think it's worth mentioning, I suppose, the reason why she's also in a wheelchair is because she can't walk, Marilyn. She's a doll.
Yes. She can't walk, and she's very heavy. So, to carry her, I can't carry her. If we have to move her, my husband moves her, because she just is very, very heavy.
She needs to stop eating cake, I think, Ellie.
I like her. I think she looks a little bit like me. You mentioned Lars and the Real Girl there as well, which is, I think, a fantastic movie, and I'm presuming that you have seen it, Marilyn, which makes me ask as well, when that was out, there was a lot of kind of talk about sex dolls and about lifelike dolls, and I know there's Noel Cruz as well. I don't know if you're familiar with him, and he does little celebrity dolls. Have you ever done a celebrity doll, or have you ever kind of done one of a celebrity that you like?
Oh, yeah, I did. I have done, my daughter has a Marilyn Manson baby. And in April, I did a Norman Reedus doll based on the character from The Walking Dead, baby Daryl, Daryl Dixon. And I actually took baby Daryl to meet Norman Reedus at a horror convention. He fell in love with the doll. He thought it was so amazing that he wanted one, and I actually gave him my doll. So Norman Reedus has one of my dolls.
But is it difficult then? I'm just thinking as a woman, okay? With this.
No, Ed, you're not a woman. You can't think like a woman. You're not a woman.
Oh, I wish if I was a woman, I'd never leave the house. That's for sure. Marilyn, was it difficult for you to find a partner who would accept this?
I mean, I've been with my husband for 13 years, so. I mean, he knew he knew getting involved with me that I was, into dolls and things like that. Now that I have made a business out of it, he's extremely, extremely supportive. My whole family helps. We do horror conventions. We sell the dolls. Everyone has their own little jobs that they do and things like that.
Yeah.
And it really has become, a family experience for all of us, and it's something I say it's a healthy obsession, and that I've turned into a really productive thing, and made positive things come out of it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how it is to find a partner now because I've been with my husband so long. I don't know if I was suddenly to become single, if how easy it would be to find a partner that accepts, that I live in a dollhouse. But I don't know.
Well, I suppose it is a dream of many girls to live in a dollhouse. Well, look, thank you so much for talking to us, Marilyn. And I think myself and Ed and the Cracked Eye would like to become a part of your doll family. I think you should make little mini dolls of us as well and send them over to us here
That'd be
in
amazing.
Ireland. Yeah, you could do a little mini one of Ed and a mini one of me. And
Well, I have a massive head, so you need to make a doll with a head that's twice the size of a normal head. Put it that way, Marilyn.
Send me pictures. I'm sure I could do it.
All right, well, that's a deal. Marilyn, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I think, to be fair, I think before I chatted to you, I had a perception of what you may be like, and I think you've broken all the rules there. I think you're actually a lovely woman and a very humble woman as well, with, I guess, a career that's out of the norm, but who gives a shit? So thanks so much for coming on The Cracked Eye.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.
And Marilyn, if people do want to look you up, you have a Twitter handle if you just want to let us know what that is.
Yes, it's at Miss M. Mansfield, and my website is marilynmansfield.com, where all my links can be found.
Fantastic stuff. Marilyn, we will have to get you on again, I'm sure, at some time. And we're a bit early on this one, but we know it's like your Christmas, so happy Halloween.
Oh, happy Halloween to you guys, too.
Thank you very much. And we're definitely going to email you on pictures of us as well in the hope that we get a doll sent to us.
Yes, send me the pictures.